Well, welcome one and all to another episode of the Solutionaries. I'm your host, Michael DiMartino. Great to be here. Another beautiful sunny day here in southern Colorado, broadcasting from Crestone, Colorado at 9,000 feet, surrounded by the amazing Sangre de Cristo and San Juan Mountains, reaching about 14,000 feet. And today, this is another episode that's kind of generating more synergy and strategic alliances with amazing solutionaries and the work that we're doing. Many of you know I've been in Los Angeles over the last year, called there as a response to the fires and helping to kind of create this initiative of Build Back Green LA. And to do that, of course, the fires have had devastating impact, but a lot of the things that we see happening are because things are old paradigm, old design, and we have to look at a way to do things better in the way that we interact with nature, the way that we build, the way that we live our life, and having a more harmonious, what we say, biomimicked relationship with nature. So today I'm really happy to have this broadcast with Ray Cirino, who I met recently, who's doing incredible work in the LA area, and his company, RayGo. So welcome, Ray.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about your company and what you do.
Well, number one, I started off working with Cobb back in 2001. I went to my most favorite, most important teacher, Yanto Evans, and I was told to go there by my girlfriend. She said she'd break up with me if I didn't go. And so I had to go. And then after that, Yanto was such an inspiration. He came from Wales and he brought the terminology cob, C-O-B, to America. And we took one of the first classes, and he was so real. It was almost like nature was teaching us. And he was a teacher at the high level. And the thing he kept saying was quality, because quality in a house means more than just something that looks good. It has to last 200 years or seven generations. So, I took that to heart, and I've been building things my whole life. I was in the woodworking industry, I was in the welding industry, and so I thought, wait a minute, I have the toolkit to do almost anything. And so what I did is I said, well, let's make Cobb a system. And so, because right now, if you were to build a Cobb house, you'd have to have training for it. You'd have to learn how to train for it. You'd have to have teachers, which there aren't many around. And also, you'd have to have a permit. And those are like big challenges. I checked out the LA Times why we aren't using Cobb in Los Angeles County, and it's because of those things. They don't have a system. What I've developed in my RayGo is a system. It could be turned into an app, and you could say how many bricks I need to have. And these are Adobe bricks. I have a child's Adobe brick right here. You can see it has like a Lego effect. It has knobs on the bottom. And this was a brick press that I made. And the thing about biomimicry, I just wanted to tell you all that uh, biomimicry is super important. But think about this for a second to make your mind stretch, because we want to make sure that our minds go farther than they're used to. So tell yourself or ask yourself, what would nature do to build houses for humans? They would not make them the way they make them today. They would not make them out of trees that burn. They would not put asbestos. They would not put anything that's going to fail in less than 100 years. Cobb lasts 9,000 years. And what I'm doing now is I'm using what we call scoria. This is a lava vent that I got out where I live. You can see it looks like a tree almost if you look closely. And basically, this is called scoria. What it is, it's kind of like a glass, and the red color means that it cooled down fast. The darker colors cool down slower. And so this is like a science. And, being someone who likes to explore the sciences and learn about why things are the way they are, I I took the scoria and I turned it into a hexagon that has tongue and grooves on it. And nowhere in the world they have anything like this. And this cuts like butter with a diamond blade. There's a downside to it. The downside to it is water could penetrate it, but that could be a good thing because you could use it to for ventilation. You could use it for cooling, and also you could use it for fire protection as a skin. And I'm going to stop in a second, but I was just going to show you how that works. This is the side of a building, and you can see that there's a curve on it. And this is, if you look close, there's little hexagons, and they all walk together.
Wow, incredible.
No architect in the world has thought of this except for the one that made the New Orleans Superdome in New Orleans because they had hurricane winds up to 200 miles per hour, Hurricane Camille. And I used to live in Florida, so I knew about hurricanes. And I looked at what happens is the wind actually from the fires is the biggest problem. It creates oxygen for the fire to burn. It also has embers. So that what happens is that the wind goes around that cove and creates a wall so that the wall protects the roof. So you're using the problem as the solution. And this is something I learned in permaculture because permaculture is a design system that solves problems that are not taught in school. So anyway, that's just in a nutshell some of the things that I'm up to.
Well, it's incredible because you're blending these concepts of, I mean, like you said, if you travel around the world, so many places have different types of building techniques, and they don't have the bureaucracy of which, you know, there is some justification for building codes, but the lack of housing, the impact of wildfires and flooding on housing, there's a huge disconnect by some of the ordinances and what I call kind of the building cartel that have a firm grip on the way things are done. And it's not allowing people like yourself and others to really bring these innovative solutions based on ancient evidence of what's worked for thousands of years into contemporary society, especially there in California. Now I have 10 acres up in Nevada City area, and I started to do a straw bale tiny house and passive solar, and then, oh, you can't do this because it's not earthquake proof. And of course I brought in my engineers and said, well, look at this is how it's actually done. Well, we have concerns about is this fireproof because it's straw bales, and then we showed them the covering, and you know, we've continued to kind of go down the rabbit hole with them to address all their issues, but they still have not integrated into their building codes the reality of doing things in a different way. And of course, I was a journalist during the Paradise fires, and I saw, you know, over 10,000 homes just burn. I watched the mismanagement of the cleanup of how they scraped the soil, they cut all the trees. There was a lot of disaster capitalism. And then, of course, after that, years later, with diminished toxicity, people start to rebuild in the exact same way that they did. And of course, highly flammable homes in a area that has urban interface with you know, forest and grassland. So again, it makes no sense. So it's incredible, again, as you as a solutionary here, that you're creating these innovative techniques and really your own approach and technology to some of these challenges. So currently, what are you doing? Do you have any working models? Are you working on a building project somewhere?
Well, here's the good news. You know, I'm building my model home out in Olancha, which is Owens Valley, on the where you don't need a permit. We're surrounded by BLM land. My best friend is my neighbor. He's not going to complain. And it's going to be basically this house right here. This house is actually
Incredible.
is round and it's like a mushroom. It's called the Mushroom House. And it's going to be displayed at SciARC coming up. I was just at SciARC, which is an architectural school, the 10th best in the United States. And basically, they're like embracing this idea because all the architects that displayed their fireproof houses were exactly what we're talking about, the same problem that created the building in the same way. In fact, you're allowed to build your same exact house without a permit in Pacific Palisades or Altadena, and it's going to burn again. And it's ridiculous. So getting back to what I'm going to be doing, we're doing workshops. We did some last year. I'm also going to actually employ the students of SciARC to make a model home. And I'm pretty fascinated as far as like a lot of ideas I've had. One of the coolest things is a solar cooker window, where you have your kitchen window that actually you could put pots and pans and frying pans in and cook your food at a certain part of the day if the sun's out. And so we're going to actually have that as an insert for the students to play with. So after we assemble my RayGo block home like Legos, we'll have something to eat. And fun is what we're doing. Children could build with these blocks, and they already have. They built their outdoor classrooms up in Calabasas and other places around Ventura County where I lived. And it's just a fun thing. They knew, I didn't tell them what to do. They knew what to do. They knew how to build with Legos. And so it's one of the things that we all know. And so this is where it becomes a system. And I also have holes in the brick in my brick press that actually could run electrical, uh, plumbing, cables, threaded rod, rebarb. So you could attach it to the foundation and the roof at the same time. And having a round house is kind of like having a bowl and a bunch of marbles. When an earthquake comes, it all has unibody construction and it moves independently. And then also cob is recyclable. You could have a big wall fall down, you could put it back up. You can't do that with concrete, or you can't do that with wood so much. And so it's the perfect scenario. It's a system too, which is something that could be adapted to an app. Could you imagine? You have like have a whole list, prints out everything you need. It tells you how long it's going to take, and you're good to go. This is going to be happening this year. This is the big deal. And the other big deal is I'm going to be going to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo with my perfect brick made out of this particular scoria sand. And this cool thing about this sand, they used it in the Roman
Mm.
Empire. And what happens when you add lime to it, when water hits it, it has crystals in between the seams and it heals itself. That's why it's lasted hundreds of thousands of years.
Wow.
And of course, big business don't want to hear this. And that's the thing. We're gonna take over the big business because the people will rise. It's not the big corporations, the people like us. And that's what we're doing
Hmm.
here. We're gonna give power back to the people so they can wake up and get going.
Yeah, the age of planned obsolescence, I think, is coming to an end because
That's it.
even if we, and I really appreciate when we spoke the other day, I kind of see you as kind of a full spectrum person. There's many people that are very specialistic in one area, and then there's people who are specialistic in a certain area, but they see the what I call full spectrum regenerative design. They see the
Right.
interrelationship of things like the environment, of human health, of the importance of natural building, the importance of green technology. What's that?
This I have a couple of sciences that I'm really good at. I'm an artist too. This is a beaver habitat near our house that I'm envisioning. There's the beaver
Wow.
right there. Now, I, what I'm doing is I'm making a whole art thing for a gallery and also a beaver show at for the Eco Hero Awards in Santa Barbara with Margie and Wes. And anyway, I'm making showing what the problem, you have to find the problem. The problem is not with fires, it's about land management. And so beavers, being the keystone species, are the ones who really are going to be solving the problem if they're managed right. And people say, oh, beavers, they kill trees. No, no, they create habitat, they create water filtration, they bring back the salmon. What else is wrong with your intelligence? You know?
It's interesting. I work actually with someone, a Chumash friend of mine,
Right?
lives out just east of you, and he's doing a lot of work out there with dealing with desertification regarding beavers. And of course, here in Colorado, at the
Hmm.
foothill of the Sangre de Cristo, we have 14,000 foot peaks and glacial lakes and several creeks that run out of the mountains. But the land has become more arid, more dry, and as you know, as a permaculture design person, slow it, spread it, sink it, right?
Right.
And it's amazing because in traditional wisdom or indigenous land stewardship, which a lot of people think, oh, they came here, the enlightened Europeans, and they were savages on the land, and they don't realize that they knew a lot about fire mitigation,
Mhm.
and land management at a very high level, working with the natural world, things like beavers, and identifying it, not just coming in with a more colonial mindset. So more and more we're finding, and again, what I call kind of people used to say sustainability, but in this whole regenerative movement, that we have to be more regenerative. Sustainability is great to a level, but we've been trying to maintain this sustainability culture for 60 years, and we're not sustaining. I mean, things are still collapsing, the ecosystems, wildfires, flooding, climate change, etc. So it's amazing to see many of the different aspects of you as what I would call a full spectrum solutionary, because you understand the importance of soil and regenerative agriculture and natural building and non-toxic materials and the role of land management and what I would even call like watershed stewardship in a way that
Right.
will have positive effects. And again, we're not here to like bash civic leaders or government, but we're here to basically educate them because they're bureaucrats. They're doing certain things, like even in the response to the fires, the soil testing, the soil remediation has been extremely anemic. And we have an event coming up in just a couple of weeks. And then we have our regenerative ag event in Ojai, where we're going to help make people more aware about the importance of, what is regenerative agriculture. But it's great to meet you because you're one of these people who kind of really do see the full picture and you're actually doing things about it.
One of the things that is another component of what we're talking about, permaculture is important, hands-on experience. But the thing that really is driving us and what I'm doing is community and dealing with people and having fun making change. If you could show that and start with children at 5 years old, because those 5 year olds, they haven't been tainted yet by our society. And once you get those 5 year olds going, they are not going to stop. In fact, I want to make a movie one day with my 5 and 10 year olds building a house out of my RayGos and then having the whole place burned down around them, and then their house is still standing. Yeah, I mean, because I talked to a major lady who has billions of dollars, and she loved the idea. And I hate to say it, but money is something that drives you. But I've never had money in my life, hardly. Now I have a little bit to work with, and it makes you have to think. And that's part of the solution is having, if you're handed things, you're going to be incompetent. I mean, I've had like I made cardboard furniture back in the day, like Frank Gehry, and back in '77, I didn't have any money. I built cardboard furniture. I laminated it together. I learned how to sew, and I had this incredible line of furniture that I made, and I was so happy. I went to the dumpster, and that was it. And also another thing about that is recycling. Right now, there are people who don't know how to do things with their hands. And we do Meals on Wheels, me and my girlfriend. And when we go deliver some food, I said, hey, can we go down that alleyway? I saw something at this dumpster. And so I go to these dumpsters and I take things out and turn them into magic. And that's something that people need to know. Uh,
Yeah, that yeah, that spirit of innovation is so important. And the idea of, recycling, upcycling, turning trash into treasures. And what's interesting, I understand what you're saying. I used to be in the corporate world, hotel, restaurant management. I loved it until I realized you couldn't make people happy and that it was kind of this bottomless trench of service to the human condition. So I pivoted, I got into events, I got into education and music and production. And then I eventually got into the sustainability movement, which led me to the work I'm doing now, especially during the COVID, where a lot of things changed. That was a huge, extreme pivot for me. But what I realized in this spirit of innovation, because if people are comfortable, comfort can sometimes create complacency, like, oh, why do I have to make change? I'm so comfortable. But
you're right.
as you were saying, I've come to learn that for people like us, I've done so much with so little for so long that we get to the point of being able to do almost anything with
Exactly.
nothing.
Right.
And I will say, I do go to a lot of investor events, and there are more people that are looking at the importance of the environment and human health, and are getting more into what we call impact funding. So it's interesting you bring up about the film, because actually starting February 21st, I'm a big follower of some of work people like Buckminster Fuller. Don't fight the problem, create the alternative and the solution. Barbara Marx Hubbard, many luminaries that have influenced me. So I'm actually doing a whole film this year, basically called like the Regenaissance, about what's happening right now with people like you, who are
Mm.
really at the cutting edge of bringing these changes forward, but doing it in a way that there's a full spectrum focus. We're going to look at things like the green economy, green technology, natural building, things like regenerative ag. We're also bringing in what a lot of people don't consider part of the whole regenerative or sustainability movement. The importance, like you said, art, culture, music. Ram Dass used to say the greatest institution of social change happens when you inspire someone's heart. Trying to change a mind can be very challenging, but if we can actually inspire their heart and let them see a different way of doing things, and it takes people like yourself,
Mm.
solutionaries, luminaries, innovators, to show these working models that we can do things in a different way.
Absolutely. I just want to also tell you that I build rocket stoves and rocket ovens. I invented a rocket oven that I turned into a dragon on a trailer that cooks pizza. And hey, Connie, could you get my pizza
Wow.
cutter? Um, I had one of the big time blacksmiths in the world who does all the movie props for all the major motion pictures, and he's connected to the world, and people go to him for advice before they start making a movie. And so I spent time with him recently, and he made me a because he likes what I'm doing. He made me a special pizza cutter for his YouTube channel. His name is Tony Swanton. And so there's different people that you meet that are artistic and also, you find out the things that they have that you could rub off on and learn from because, the older you get, as you probably know, the more you want to live because when we're younger, we think, oh, we have plenty of time to do things. But, the clock is ticking. I'm 70 years old now, and I still think I'm a kid because I work that way. So here comes Connie. She has the pizza cutter. Hey. This is
Hello.
the box that I made. We're going to make a Viking thing, but check this out. Talking about an amazing thing to have. Look at that thing. Is that amazing?
Wow.
I carved
That's
the dragon out and put the and helped him, but he made this out of Purple Heart. That's Damascus on there. You could see the different layers of metal on it. But th this is what happens when you're in a school of people who are just like artisans and inspiring. And so it's game on. Let's do this. And also, getting back to the rocket stove in my oven, I did a junkyard tour in the biggest waste stream in the world. It was in the San Fernando Valley for 15 years on Black Friday. And we would go to rocket junkyards and I would take rocket parts to make rocket stoves.
wow.
And I went to two people who invented the rocket stove back in the day up in Oregon. And I brought my rocket stoves there, and they had no idea the potential of it. Because when you have things that are round and you have things that are domed, it actually distributes the heat correctly. So, the science is behind this. I have in my head, and I know what works. And most of the things I do, I kind of figure out because it's kind of like I'm a kid that knows how to build his toys. And that's what we want to do. We want to have kids learn how to build their toys.
Yeah,
And
I could see how there's a whole documentary just about your life and work. Really incredible.
well, it still has a lot to go. When I make this house, oh, I got to show you one other thing that's pretty amazing. Hold on for a second. Uh, Another thing architects have not done is they have not considered burglary and fires. And so what I've done is I've taken this is going to be a shutter for a door or a window. This is like a sample. This is my cat door. But anyway, what happens is it was outside, but the thing opens up, and when the fire
Wow.
hits, you close the door, and inside is lava rock so that it doesn't go through. You close it like that. You close the door, and when the heat hits it, it expands the metal and seals it. And when it cools down, you could open it up again. When you go on a vacation, you could actually be burglar proof. No one's going to break the windows to get in your house. Why haven't architects done this? I visited Amsterdam last fall, and they have on these bunkers where we stayed at an Airbnb, they have these big giant cast iron doors and window coverings to keep cannonballs out. And so that's kind of like where I got my idea from, because they had no issue with that. Now,
That's such a good point too, because a lot of times when there's fires, fires actually enter through the house through the air vents or the cupolas. So
exactly.
that's some of the research we did after the Paradise fires. Like, how could so many houses burn down so quick? And that was one of the issues, is making the house impenetrable by the cinder and by the ash. Absolutely.
Right.
So we have just a couple minutes left. We
Sure.
live in the age of attention deficit, and
Yeah, right.
you have such a wealth of knowledge. I will say, we have our existing platform for building strategic alliances. I think I mentioned it the other day, the Alliance for Regenerative Communities, and we've actually created a way of bringing solutionaries together to kind of have a think tank to be able to cross promote each other, built in referrals and commissions. Because for me, it's like I meet so many amazing people like yourself that people just never hear about. Of course, you go on Facebook and you see Elon Musk's new plastic house, made in China and fabricated and delivered, and it's affordable. But again, the what the materials are made of, the lack of being fireproof, and these types of things. So there's a lot of people like yourself that are creating these solutions to a lot of these issues. So we're trying to kind of not create a global directory of everything regenerative, but at least get people in there to create an options of full spectrum solutions of people who work in these different areas. So we'll talk more about that. But in the couple of minutes that we have left, what words of wisdom would you like people to leave with today from the broadcast?
Well, I look at passion and love of building things as my juice to fuel my fire. And I also make solar cookers, which I think are really a fuel tank that's up in the sky.
Mm.
And instead of using fossil fuels, but it's really about uh, keeping our Earth and all the animals that were here, and keeping them alive and spreading it out, and spreading the water with beavers. I mean, I have these different sciences that I've been awarded for, and it's really about telling people by example, and having fun. It's really about finding a fun factor. Now, everybody's not fun, but we could. There's people that have a flat sense of humor, and I have so much fun with them because they're serious, but we have fun with them however we can. And then we start talking about what's possible, because politics is so out of the loop. We do not talk politics at all. We just find solutions, and that's what we could do because we know how to solve things.
Great. So if people wanted more information, do you have a website or an email that people could
Well,
find
the
you?
email would be cobanation@yahoo.com. That's really the only thing I have right now. I'm going to have a RayGo.us eventually, but cobanation@yahoo.com. And my number, in case they really have to get in touch, is 818-834-7074. And I'm really happy that we're on board here because number one, uh, it's so cool to meet you and all your connections, because I said, who is this guy? I mean, I know all the major people, but now there's a new group of major people, and I
Well,
think it's wonderful.
Well, we've been kind of just in the chrysalis the last 5 years, reimagining, recreating ourselves. And for me, as opposed to coming out with just ideas, I wanted to have ways for accelerated deployment of solutions, how to build non-hierarchical platform for people to connect, collaborate, and cooperate, not compete. And our big project of what we're doing with Earthstock Enterprises is we're working on creating an academy right now. I've had offers to do stuff in, 300 acres in Ecuador and 150 acres in Costa Rica, but right now I'm really focused on supporting the fire survivors in LA. We're doing some soil testing and some remediation stuff because that's like immediate as part of how to build back green. But I'm in southern Colorado where as long as you have a septic or a biodigester, you can build however you want. So
Nice.
we're enjoying the freedom of having an area where we can basically with new design kind of build this new paradigm and have working models. So I will be in touch with you about the ARC. Would like to get you in there and kind of trumpet and help promote your genius, but also when we secure this potential place for this academy, we do want to have different types of building methodologies. And like you said, it's like a living demonstration model of doing things in a different way, in a better way, in a more regenerative way, aligned with nature and also healthier for people. So,
Exactly. Well, this has been wonderful, and I'm really excited to connect again with you all. And let's do this.
all right. Thank you so much, Ray Cirino, for your time. Founder and creator of the RayGo blocks. I love the connection with Lego and everything just kind of fits together. So
Just
Cobb a
remember,
nation at yahoo.com.
remember, wherever you go, RayGo.
There you go. All
See you then.
right. Thanks for your time, Ray.